What up YouTube? I've been waiting a minute to do this video, and today I'm happy to show you all around the new Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner in the Vermilion colorway. I'll take a deep dive into this shoe, show you a bunch of shots on foot, talk about the pros and cons of owning these, but before I do, I ask that you please like this video if you're feeling the content, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more. Okay, let's go. This red pair officially dropped on October 29th for $80 US. Prior to this, most of the other foam runners have all had brownish or darkish blue, very earthy tones, so when this released, it stood out from the rest of the lineup. The first Yeezy Foam Runner was teased in 2019 and officially dropped in June of 2020 for the retail price of $75 US. When the images were originally leaked, they were met with mixed opinions. Some people hated them and some people loved them. Honestly, when I saw them, I didn't know what to think, and I decided I would have to see them in person before I could give an opinion. Once I saw them in person and tried them out, I completely understood why people liked them, and I'll explain why. Since 2020, they released a bunch of different colorways, and I see people wearing these everywhere, but especially at the airports. I guess it makes sense because you want to be comfortable when you travel. Plus, I'm sure it's convenient wearing these while going through airport security because you don't have to deal with lacing and unlacing. In addition, the COVID pandemic has inspired, for lack of a better term, the cozy revolution, where people are not nearly as concerned about their fit, and they just want to wear something comfortable like sweats and slip-on kicks, making these ideal for the times. There's no way Adidas could have planned for that, but their timing on these couldn't have been better. As I mentioned, these are called Vermilion, which is defined as a brilliant red color, but everyone I know just refers to these as the Red October Foam Runners. And why wouldn't they? It's the first time since 2014 that Yeezy made an all-red colorway. It's kind of weird that after all these years he chose this shoe to do it with, but whatever. I'm a big fan of the Red Octobers and red kicks in general. For some reason, this Vermilion colorway hasn't been getting nearly as much love as the other foam runners, and some people don't seem to like them, but I couldn't disagree more. It's a simple, clean layout, and the solid red makes it much easier to piece together a clean fit. A pair of black socks and some sweats and you're good. This darker foam also hides dirt much better than the lighter colors like the ochre or the sand. No matter what pair you buy, as soon as they touch the ground, they start to get dirty, so a darker colored outsole will definitely keep these looking cleaner for longer. As you can see, these have already been worn a few times, but they're still pretty clean. Before we dig into the shoes, let's take a quick look at the box. It's your typical Yeezy raw cardboard box, but unlike other Adidas Yeezys, there is no external branding, just this tag. When you flip it open, you have the Foam Runner branding in black and basic bone white tissue paper. They're keeping it minimalist, and I'm okay with that. Plus, everything feels more biodegradable than your typical heavy, glossy sneaker boxes. When you pull the kicks out, they feel light, and the material feels fairly durable and cushiony. It's not important, but these do have slightly more texture than some of the previous foam runners, but it's hardly noticeable and doesn't affect the comfort level in any way. I think it's just a matter of where they're produced and what production methods were used. I know some pairs were made in China, like this pair, but a large amount were actually made in America. I don't know if you know this, but Adidas co-signing the production of foam runners in the United States was a pretty big deal. It's challenging and expensive to mass produce pretty much anything in the United States, and for them to achieve it while still maintaining a somewhat reasonable retail price is extremely admirable. It's well known that creating more jobs and opportunities in the US was important to Kanye, so props to him for achieving his goal. I read that Yeezy brand and New Balance are the only major footwear brands that still produce their products in the United States. Wherever they're made, these were designed in Atlanta, Georgia by a guy named Steven Smith.
I'm with Steven.
He's been in the game for a while and has worked with New Balance, Reebok, Adidas, and Nike before making his move to Yeezy. The foam material is made up of harvested algae blended with EVA, ethylene vinyl acetate. That's cool, and I like to see companies experiment with sustainable materials. Maybe someday it could be made up completely of natural chemicals. That would be a major win for people and our planet, and I hope they continue to explore the use of natural materials. Unlike pretty much every shoe ever made, these are literally one large chunk of foam that is produced in an injection mold. To my understanding, it's basically two molds that come together and they inject that mold with the foam material until it takes this shape. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's done. This design is so crazy, and they look like an alien shoe or something that is grown organically. But most of all, the profile reminds me of a Pepperidge Farm goldfish cracker. It's unmistakable, and once you see it, it's kind of hard not to see it. Just look at it, and tell me this doesn't look like a goldfish. Regarding other kicks, I suppose the closest thing I can compare these to is a pair of Crocs. They're both made up of foam, they both have a bunch of holes, and they're both slip-on shoes. I wouldn't be surprised if Adidas saw the numbers Crocs was experiencing and decided to take their own little piece of this weird foam shoe market. You can't blame them, and either way, it was clearly a smart move. But besides them both being weird foam slip-ons with holes, that's where the comparisons end, because these are way more interesting than Crocs, and whether you love these or hate them, I think we can all agree these look like no other shoe that ever came before them. They have organic-looking cuts all over the shoe that add style and allow your foot to breathe. You can wear these barefoot or with socks, and I like that you can play around with different colored socks and change up the look. Also, if you do decide to wear these without socks, depending on the shape of your foot and the way you walk, you could experience some painful rubbing on your heel and ankle. So be careful and consider that before you go on any long, sockless walks in these. Another big bonus, these will literally never crease at the toe box. You might beat them up so bad that the toe gets a little crunchy, but I'm pretty sure they will never crease. Another cool bonus about wearing these without socks is they're completely waterproof. So they could be worn as water shoes on rocky beaches and lakes, or even in a pool if you're weird like that. They have a really wide oval opening for your foot, with the opening bleeding over the top of your foot where a traditional tongue would normally be. Due to this large opening, it makes them relatively easy to slip on and off. To me, the craziest part of this shoe is the padded bump on the upper part of your foot. Check it out from a profile perspective. The foam gets really thick in this area to create this shape. It took me some time to get used to this style, but now I kind of like it. You have this bumpy textured feel covering the entire inside of the shoe. You don't really feel it while walking, but it's comfortable and it helps keep your foot from sliding around in there. You have this toe area that comes to a point similar to the goldfish cracker and a fairly thick midsole area with a pretty wide stance. The outsole has a subtle wavy tread, a bunch of chunky areas, and chunks of foam cut out in other areas. It also contains the only piece of branding on these shoes, this small debossed Adidas logo sunk into the heel area. Other than that, there's no branding on these shoes. One thing I like is how the outsole wraps up the rear of the sneaker. It's a nice touch and makes them much more wearable when walking or driving. If you look at the front toe area of the outsole, you can see this tiny little circle. It looks to me like that's the area where they injected the foam into the mold. As I mentioned, these were $80 US retail, but they are currently reselling for around $200 to $350 depending on your size and color. That's a lot of money to pay for a pair of rubber kicks, but people want what they want, so it is what it is. I have a feeling Adidas will eventually release enough of these over the years that resale prices will begin to drop dramatically, and these will be accessible to anyone who wants them. Other than the Adidas logo on the outsole, there is some writing pressed into the ankle collar that says Foam Runner, the size, and Made in China. Regarding size, I would say these run a little small, and it's recommended by Adidas that you consider going up a full size if you're buying these. I would go up a full size especially if you're buying them for kids, because obviously kids grow pretty fast, and these are pretty durable, so they could potentially last a few years for your kid if you buy them a little big. From what I'm seeing, most people seem to like the tan versions better than these, but in my opinion, I think this is my favorite colorway, with the cream clay coming in a close second. This solid colorway is not fussy or complicated like some of the others, and despite it being bright red, it's somewhat more subtle than some of the other colors. Overall, it's a different, bugged-out shoe with a very subjective design. It doesn't seem to take itself too seriously, and for that reason, I really like them. In conclusion, these are a fun, weird pair of comfortable kicks that will definitely stand out. These are what I would refer to as a cozy flex. As I said, they look like no other shoe before them, and I respect how much Yeezy design team defies convention. I appreciate that they're always innovating and working to redefine sneaker design and how we look at footwear. Sometimes you have to reset your thinking to wrap your head around a Yeezy design, but to me, that's one of the things that makes them fun. I certainly don't like everything they drop, but in my opinion, these ones are cool and worth considering, especially if you could pick them up for retail. That's a no-brainer, and if you own these, they will probably become your go-to kicks for running errands, traveling, or just chilling around your house. They're one of the most interesting, out-of-the-box footwear designs I've seen in a very long time. Also, anyone who watches this channel will know I always appreciate a cool pair of kicks that doesn't require leather. More sneaker companies need to get on board and start experimenting with leather alternatives. Anyway, that's my video on the Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner in the Vermilion colorway. Please click the thumbs up if you like this video. Please subscribe if you would like to see more, and click the notification bell to stay up to date on my latest videos. I would appreciate it, and it would definitely help the channel. Also, feel free to visit me on Instagram at E21Life for other pics and randomness. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it, and until next time, stay safe, everyone. Peace.